What's going on, everyone? Coming with another live stream that I wanted to do with Mad Jack Racing. Just this camera here. Mad Jack Racing, Mr. Jack has so graciously devoted some time to being able to help us out with some motorcycle dual sport tech tips, and I wanted to bring him on live today to jump off his series of videos that he's going to be doing with me, live streams with me. Waiting for Jack to jump in here. If you guys aren't familiar with Mad Jack Racing, they're out of Moore Park down in SoCal area, and they actually are the shop that I had build my 2018 500 EXE KTM a few months back, and they're a great shop. I also do ride with Jack and Riley on different, adventures and stuff like that. Riley's been in some of my videos and some of my posts that I've made. He's usually on the trail with me. Waiting for Jack to get on here so we can get him introduced here and tell us about his shop and what he offers, and hopefully try to get us some tech tips on dirt bikes, dual sport riding setups and stuff like that. Mr. Jack, are you on yet? Let's see. Mr. Mad Jack, where are you at, buddy? Well, I'm not seeing him pop up. So, if anyone, maybe you got stuck with a customer. Let's see here. Mr. Mad Jack, where you at, buddy? Let's tell everyone who you are and what you do. Trying to find him on here. I'm not seeing him pop up. I see Mr. Daryl Tarpe is on. It's another one of his buddies that goes on a lot of different rides. Daryl, if you can kick Jack and let him know that I'm on live for him, waiting for him. Tarpe. Did I mess up your last name, buddy? Sorry about that. So, we had an appointment for 4 o'clock. And I am sitting here looking, and I don't see him. So, yeah, he's standing me up here. I'm sitting here waiting for him, and nothing. Let me see if I can, let's see. Sorry, I might have to do this the manual way. No? It's not letting me do it that way either. So, is he no longer on social? Kicking my butt here, buddy. Mad Jack. Yeah, well, he wasn't supposed to be, and I actually just did talk to him not only a few minutes ago and said be ready. He told me to be ready, and maybe this is the part that he wanted me to be ready for, is he's going to stand me up while I'm on live waiting for him. Mad Jack, there we go. Mad Jack, hi. All right, let's get you in, buddy. Let's get you in. Mad Jack Racing. Okay, we're adding him. Look who decided to jump in. Yep, Mad Jack Racing, Mr. Jack.
What's up, Nick?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Long time no talk, right?
I know, man. I'm sitting here. I changed the bike that's behind me for this live stream. I know that's you're familiar with this bike.
Yep.
It was in your shop not too long ago. It belongs to my son. So, Jack, I know stuff about you, and I know your facility. I've trusted it with my bikes. Maybe, you know what, if we can get you to be on the other side of the screen. There you go.
Outside? You want to
Yes.
see this bike? That's what you want to do.
We want to concentrate more on you. I mean, I know there's people working in the background and stuff. So tell us about yourself, your name, where you come from, your background. How are you into motorcycles and working on them?
Well, my name's Jack, obviously. Everybody calls me Mad Jack. It's really just a nickname. It's funny because a lot of people just assume that I'm mad or something, but in all reality, it's just a nickname back in the day from football, and then it came about again when I was racing. I grew up. I started at a young age riding motorcycles at like 15 years old. Got pretty much quickly into desert racing with my dad, and just started taking off with that. Met a lot of people. I used to race a TTR 125 in the 125 class against all these kids on, two-stroke 125s, and used to hang with them pretty good, actually, surprisingly, with the bike. But the nickname came back around, and it just stuck. And when it came time to start this business venture, it was an easy pick because everybody already knew me as it. But yeah, so I started pretty late compared to most, but I quickly, got the itch, and just never looked back. I went to MMI in 2006 to 2008. I'm 30 years old, so I'm fairly young, but I've been doing this. I went to MMI straight out of high school. Got a job after MMI at what's now called OCKTM. It used to be called Z Racing, owned by an old desert racer, Mark Zoller. And he took me in, brought me under his wing, and basically, showed me the ropes, showed me what KTMs were. I have a couple friends that own a shop in Orange County that I used to work with there, and just learned a ton. I worked there for 2 years, and then after that, I basically had an injury racing, and I broke my thumb pretty good. Had to move back in with the parents, and instead of commuting, I found a job at Thumper Racing. It used to be in Santa Clarita. Now they're in Nevada. But when they were still here, I basically worked for them for 2 years. I built every engine that came out of there for about 2 years, and pretty much oversaw 2 guys that were working on bikes, and then I just did all the engine work. And then my boss, Travis, he kind of just did the answering the phones and, talking to customers and all that kind of stuff. And then honestly, I come from a family full of businesses. My uncle, my grandpa, my great grandpa, everybody's had businesses, and it was just kind of that natural thing that I wanted to do eventually. Honestly, it came a lot quicker than I expected. I expected to, work in a shop for 5, 6, 7 years before I would go full time on my own. But honestly, I was getting hit up a lot from the desert community, from people that knew me. And basically one day, Travis, he kind of was pretty slow, and my side gig was kind of taken off, and I just kind of ran with it. So yeah, I've been doing it professionally for 10 years now, and then been doing my own thing since 2012. So it's, 6 years later, and we've moved a few shops, and now we're in our biggest shop yet. We have a 3,000 square foot shop with, about 4 or 5 employees. And we kill it. We do a bunch of work. We do everything from engine rebuilds to full teardowns. We have one of the things we specialize in is race prep. So we tear bikes completely down to the frame, go through every single nut, bolt, fastener, whatever's broken, we replace and make it like new again. And it's fun. And it's something that we all enjoy. Everybody that works here enjoys it. So it just makes for a really fun environment.
Really cool. And one of the things to touch on that, because I'm used to your service, because I've been using you now for almost a year now. And I came about, well, let's back up. Before that, I had seen you at all the Big Six races and some of the other desert racing and stuff like that.
I think we knew who each other were.
Right. My son was doing all these Big Six races and off-road stuff, and then, we crossed paths but never really chatted. You're not close to me, but at the end of the day, it all made sense. It was a great, way to go, because and we're going to get into your whole drop off and pickup deal. But, you know, for me, you were at the races and I could have you do a service there or take the bike home. You've done a top in on my kid's bike, and also worked on my personal bike too as well. But like I said, I've known of you for a while, and I started utilizing you for the last, it's almost been about a year now, that you've pretty much been taking care of all my stuff. And, you know, before, I want everyone to understand where this relationship is going with this live stream stuff. So, you know, right away, Jack's seen what I was doing, and he likes techie stuff and, you know, all the social media things that are going on. And he's like, where are you going with this? And I'm like, you know what? I'm just trying to give back to the community. But I do want some people to be involved in it. And one of the main things that I wanted was I wanted to have someone that can bring to the table some helpful hints, some tech tips, and just give a point of view from a mechanical side, which I've got mechanical skills on the back, you know, from years back too, but I'm not a motorcycle mechanic. By all means. So I'm not going to, you know, I can tell you what I think about certain product and stuff like that if we want to do like a review, but I want someone that's got the motorcycle mechanical, you know, skills that can actually provide some great feedback and also help to everyone that's viewing these live streams. So I said, let's do it, you know, like a Tech Tip Tuesday type thing or whatever we end up calling it. And here we are. This first live stream is to kick off, just let everyone know about Jack. And then we're going to get more into more of the tech tip sides. You know, we'll talk about, he does have a tech tip for today, but, you know, next week and the weeks after, we're going to be working on some other good info that Jack's going to be here to provide to you guys.
Yep.
So I'm really thankful for you to come on board on that side of things.
No, I'm totally stoked to do it. It's something, like you said, you know, I'm super into the social media and helping everybody just have a better day on the bike, help, you know, everybody in this industry, you know, whether it be a customer, somebody that, you know, owns a shop, somebody that owns a business, whatever it may be, you know, we're all enthusiasts at the end of the day. And all I want to do is help grow this sport because it's freaking badass, you know?
Right. So let's get into some of the services. You talked about engine building and race prep. And I know you used the word race prep. And to you and your, you know, everyone's working at your facility, you guys, everyone knows what that means on your side of things. But can you better explain what a race prep is? Because after I realized what it was all about, the name race is in that name, but don't be fooled because I'm a dual sport guy and I got one of your, and I argued with you. I'm like, you got to stop calling it race prep because you're going to scare me away. You got to call it dual sport, new prep or whatever. But explain to us what your theory is about the whole prep and race level of preps.
Yeah, so basically it started honestly, and it's not just the race preps, it's everything we do at the shop. We really try to stick to a higher level of service. You know, between the two shops I worked for, I had a short stint at another big dealership here in town. And, you know, and then I would get customers that would constantly come and, you know, complain about this or that. They just had the bike here or there. And it's just, you know, I basically got tired of hearing all these things that, you know, just wouldn't happen to people's bikes, even though the bike was at a shop just recently. So I took that and I decided that I'm going to provide a higher level of service that basically, you know, goes above and beyond any other shop. And that's from, you know, the way we wash bikes. I mean, part of our race prep is we wash your bike. Just the way we do that, what we look for when we change oil. We're not just dropping your oil and throwing it in the bin and putting the oil in. We actually go through, inspect it. 2 or 3 guys look at it and compare it, and, you know, oh, look at this, look at that. Just having more eyes on it, and really just basically trying to prevent. Our big thing is preventative maintenance, and our thing is we want to prevent people from having bad experiences on their bike, because ultimately that just is going to turn them off from riding, and we want everybody to continue riding all the time. So with that being said, we have 5 different levels of race prep. Now we basically are we've recreated a whole new list of preps that are for dual sport guys now. They're, you know, a little bit more involved, and basically we took the basic idea of each one of our preps and decided what can we do to change it to cater to the dual sport guys. So, for example, one of our what we call a privateer level prep. It's our second level of prep. It's basically we take care of changing the oil, coolant. We bleed and flush the brakes. We take all your controls apart. So on a moto bike, we're just doing the controls, the throttle tube. We take off the kill switch and all that kind of stuff. On a dual sport bike, we're actually taking apart your switches. We're taking apart your start button. We're taking off the we literally take off all the little pieces and anything electrical that you have on the bike. We're going to take it off. We clean it and basically get rid of corrosion, dirt, so that way when you go ride next, it's not going to fail you.
So just to kind of make sure that we're on the same page here, and so like for example, my 2015 that I used to have had a you said push, the push button switch, but on my 2015 I had a key switch, and every once in a while that key switch would get a little funky, and it was turning, but it wouldn't provide any power, and that was because inside the switch it gets real dirty. Yeah, and so that's one of the parts that you're going to pull apart and clean out.
Exactly. Everything gets cleaned out, air blasted. We look for, pinches in the wires. We look for loose connections. We look just the things that we look for and the attention to detail. It's just, you don't get it, at many other places. And it takes us longer.
Until this
video, right. Yeah. Well, they could try, but
it is what it is, but
so basically, we're just basically here to offer a higher level of service that goes above and beyond and really caters to what people need. And because there's a lot of people out there that don't even realize like that they need to clean their, switches out, or they need to bleed their brakes, every so often, or, there's so many things. And that's why I'm excited for this series that me and you are going to do here, is because there's
a lot to talk about.
There's so much to talk about that we can really help people, prevent having bad days on their bike.
Right. So let's get into another one of your preps that specifically will reflect what some of my followers have seen. So when my bike was getting built at your shop and I had posted some pictures of it, I remember there were some remarks like, why is a brand new bike all the way apart like it was? And people were kind of like second guessing, like, what the heck was I sold, or what was I thinking, and all that good stuff.
Right.
You told me what was going on, and I reworded it in my own words. But for those people that remember that or want to go back in my feed and see when my brand spanking new bike, no mileage, was torn apart, swing arm off, while the forks went off to get actual suspension work done to it, but still the whole bike was apart. Explain to them what you were doing to my bike.
So basically, our new bike prep, it consists of, we grease the whole chassis. So we have found over the years that when a bike comes from the factory, not one specific, they all pretty much tend to be very similar, but they come with, really not much grease at all in the chassis bearings, in the swing arm and the linkage and the wheel bearings, in the steering stem especially. So a big thing that we do is we take that all apart, we re-grease it to prevent, dirt and whatnot from getting in there when you ride. Because if you don't have grease in there, then it's just going to prematurely wear out and you're going to be sitting there wondering why. Some of the other stuff we do is we bleed the brakes. We've found that when they get shipped over here and just all the traveling, we've had some issues where people will go out, bike right off the showroom floor, and their brakes will fade out. And a lot of times it gets a little bit of tiny little air bubble in their system from all the transportation. And it's just good to, start off with, fresh fluid. The other thing is we re-grease the axles, all that stuff. We re-oil the air filter. Technically that's done at the dealership, and not to be against the dealerships at all, but there is, to be honest with you, it is just a low-level technician that is PDI in the bikes, and sometimes it's just not sufficient. We really believe in the air filter oil that we use. It's Maxima FFT. It's a pour-on liquid, so we always use that to re-oil it. And then lastly, honestly, the biggest thing with the new bike prep is there is so many times where, going back to, the person that's assembling the bike, they might not be an enthusiast. They might be just some kid that has a job as a dealership, putting together bikes. And these bikes come in the crates with basically the whole bike's complete. The handlebars are off. The front wheel is off. But other than that, the bike's together. But like the other day, I had a customer show up here on a brand new FE 501, and he was wondering, he's like, "Hey man, I just picked this up, but I'm riding down the street and the whole front end feels bent." Well, a quick look at it, and 5 minutes later, realized that whoever put the front wheel on didn't align the front wheel properly, and so the whole front end was just twisted between the forks. And we quickly fixed it for him, and he was on his way, and he's totally stoked. But just those little things, we go through the whole bike, we torque everything to factory spec, and just make sure it's safe for you to ride before you get on it.
If I can throw out there, just because some of my background, again, not being a motorcycle background of mechanic, technician wise and stuff like that, but if a lot of people know me, I've worked in the truck industry, lift kits and other truck performance stuff over the amount of years,
right.
Multiple years. And one of the things that I might want to throw in there of why we're seeing sometimes these problems coming out of these brand new bikes is not just a lack of being able to do it through the actual technician, his knowledge, but at the same time, let's face it, all these dealerships are competing for business, and they gotta be as efficient as possible. I'm gonna call it efficient,
right?
And sometimes that means don't go above it, don't go that far into it, because it's not necessarily
right.
needed. And it's not to say that this is all a must, but I did feel a lot better just knowing that I had a second, pair of eyes go through it for that specific
right.
reason. And that was just me, and it's maybe not for everyone, but again, don't get me wrong, I want a good bang for my buck, but at the same time, spending as much money as I'm spending on this brand new bike, it's just it made me feel better. So, I mean, that was great.
Right.
And
yeah.
I also, too, while I was there when you guys took it apart, and I saw that there was, was there adequate grease on, on a couple of the bearings? Yeah, maybe. But again, then I saw that it was all re-greased, and made me happy. And it's not that expensive.
Yeah.
What's your charge? What is your charge, your regular charge for a new bike prep?
It's pretty simple. It's 3 hours, so it's $300.
Okay. And then obviously, just like anything else, there's always scenarios to where if you're stacking on other things, and stuff like that,
right.
and have a bunch of other work done to it. Normally, you're not going to just have a new bike prep. You're
right.
going to probably be adding on some other upgrades and stuff like that.
Stabilize it. Like a lot of guys throw on stabilizers when we're doing the new bike prep, because we don't charge them extra labor, because it literally takes us 5 extra minutes to, instead of putting the stock part on, you put the stabilizer and all that stuff on, and it's no extra time. So it's good too, if you have those parts, and it just makes it, it makes it simpler, and you get the bike with all your shit on it, and you're ready to go rip.
Right. No, I mean, if you can get all that service and be overlapping some other, installation, time, I mean, why not? So that's great.
Right.
So,
exactly.
So tell us about, like, if I, for example, let's just use my kid's bike, for example. You hadn't worked on it before. It came in with some mileage or some hours on it. And what was your routine when I delivered that bike to you? What was the routine that you went through? Actually, I'll even back up again. I didn't deliver it to you. I think you took it home from one of the races. Are you
still there?
Yep.
I can't hear you all of a sudden. Awesome.
You good?
Can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, hang on.
Uh-oh. We were doing good for a long time on Instagram. Okay. Yes, I can.
Okay, sorry. Anyway, so every bike starts out with the same process, no matter whose bike it is. Basically, the bike comes in, and we get a what we call our bike check-in sheet. You can bring the bike in clean, dirty. We actually like the bike to be dirty, especially if you have some sort of leak or concern with maybe a possible leak, or just something you want us to check out. I always say bring the bike in the condition that you got off the bike with when you we're having an issue. But basically it comes in, we go through our extensive check-in sheet, and that basically goes from, top to bottom. It goes through the tire condition. It goes through the tire pressure you bring it in with. We record that so we know. If you run 12 PSI, we jack it up to 20. And then we basically wash the bike, get it ready to work on. When we actually work on it, we recheck them. So that way, if you have a slow leak, we catch it instead of you catching it on the trail. It goes over the wheels. Whether they're dented, out of true, whatever, loose spokes, brake pads, chain and sprockets. We look at your chain guides. We look at the condition of the oil, the cables, your grips, how your throttle operation works, how your clutch operation works, how it runs, how the clutch works when the bike is running, how it actually operates. And we check your coolant and look at the condition and if it's low. So we basically go over all of that stuff. And whether you decide to do work or not with us, you're going to get that information back. We're going to let you know. We have cases where, some people will just, have us do a check-in sheet, and, now enough people have done that to where we charge a little bit if that's all they do. But in all reality, even if you have us bring in the whole bike and you're going to have us change a tire, we do a check-in sheet on it, and you get that back, and you can see, okay, well, shit, I didn't realize it as the customer, but I need to do chain and sprockets here real soon. And so basically we take that information and we call the customer, we go over all that we find. Whether you decide to do any of the stuff that we find is totally up to each and every customer. And then from there, we just build out an estimate for you, and we get your approval once we, give you the estimate, and we just, go from there. If the bike is dirty, we take it out back, we wash it. If we are, like, let's say for Little Nick's bike, we're doing a top end on it, tank comes off, air filter comes off. We have an airbox cover for every make and model bike out there. We plug up the exhaust, and then we take it out back and we wash it. So that way, we wash it with the tank off. So that way, when we break into the motor, we're not just dropping dirt into your freaking motor. So it's pretty streamlined, but it's really efficient, and it really, there's really never any time where we really miss something. There might be times where the customer decides not to fix, they don't want to replace their grips, or they're going to do this or that on their own, but they're going to find out every single little thing about their bike.
Right. So it's a positive thing for everyone. If someone brings their bike in just for that prep, there is a small charge, but it's a positive thing, because then they come out with a second, pair of eyes on the bike and knowing what's going on with it. Or it's positive because it helps you let them know what's going on, and possibly, get the job for those, items to be changed out or servicing and whatnot. I noticed another really cool thing that you guys are doing with the bikes. So tell me about the whole identification of each bike.
About the what?
The identification of each bike. You guys are putting a sticker on each bike that's got its own.
Oh, the little numbers?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's see if I can. Well, basically, I'd have to get up and walk around, but basically we have these little stickers that our friends at Ride Havoc made us. It was an idea that I just came up with to better keep track of the bikes. And honestly, it came from, we do quite a few kids' bikes where they have, 4 or 5 bikes that look identical, and you don't want to get them mixed up when one's getting a top end and one's getting a clutch and one needs this, and so basically we have these stickers that are numbered, and we have a big spreadsheet, and basically when the bike leaves, the bike gets that sticker put on it. It's a small little square sticker. It's got our phone number on there, so if you are out doing something on your bike and you need a question, one of the guys are cool enough to bring them to me. So these are the stickers. So not every single bike gets one, but if we do extensive amount of work on that bike, it gets it. And basically it helps us keep track of what bikes what we did to the bike. And the cool thing is most customers leave them on the bike, so that way when they're if they sell the bike, the next guy gets it and says, oh, MJR services bike. Even if I'm not going to have the guys over there service my bike, I can call them. Here's the phone number, and I can get all sorts of history on the bike. It makes it nice.
Right. So next question I think I got for you to kind of let everyone know, what are some of the prime product lines and upgrades of, let's just say, dual sport oriented? What are some of the great upgrades that you're providing for those bikes, parts
Okay,
wise?
well, I would say one of the number one things, if you have any of the fuel injected bikes, the newer ones, you got to put a Vortex ignition on it. We're a big believer in them. We've done a lot of testing with them, and we have some really good maps for the KTMs and the Huskies. We actually use them on some of the kids' motocross bikes too. But yeah, the Vortex ignitions, it just completely wakens up the bike. We run the FMF slip-ons on the KTMs and Huskies. We do all the stick ass pieces. Stick ass racing makes the flush mount turn signals. They make the the tail lights, all the different little tricks. You have the switches on your bike that eliminate a few things, make more room on the bars for you. And then Baja Designs, their life is incredible. I've always known that, but I think you kind of turned me more onto that. And now we got our friend Daryl with one, Riley's got one. So as soon as it gets a little warmer, we're going to start doing some night riding. But yeah, bigger tanks, the Chirbies or IMS tanks, just a little shout out. If you have a Husky, definitely want to do the IMS tank, at least for now. There's basically, and some guys might even realize this on their bike right now, but basically on the Husky, for whatever reason, they use the normal KTM plastic, like wood screws style screws that go into the fuel pump. And basically they back out over time, and then you start losing fuel pressure. You lose, you start leaking gas all over the place on the trail. The IMS has the actual brass inserts. So it just makes it a lot more secure. So I know a Chirby's is working on it and to get it switched over, but that's something to, if you got, and it's weird because the KTM tank from a Chirby's doesn't have that issue. It's only the Husky. But yeah, so IMS or a Chirby's tank, depending on which bike you have. We like the highway dirt bike wraparound handguards. We do the BRP rubber. I don't know if you can see this bike, but we do the BRP rubber mounted sub mount, with the Scott stabilizer. So there's quite a few things that, recluse clutches we're a big believer in, so there's quite a few things that, you can do these bikes that really make them pretty trick and really a lot more fun to ride.
And so just so everyone's clear, obviously I know you're into the dual sport stuff. You own a dual sport yourself, and we're going to go into that bike in another episode, but you do own a dual sport bike. So you're not just an MX guy trying to preach to us dual sport guy. So I like that.
Right.
But then you also do have a extensive motocross background and off-road racing background with setup and everything. So some of that stuff can transfer over to us dual sport guys on knowing what's going to be able to stand up to the long distance and just different, off-road scenarios that we're facing with these. I mean, again, I always like to say that they are a dual sport bike, but truly especially these new ones, they're an off-road bike with plates.
Right.
I mean, that's just what they are.
The plates tires? Just get to dirt.
What are you supplying for tires, just to give some people some understanding of what they can get from you? I mean, are you pretty much open to whatever someone has preference-wise parts to be installed and sold, but then you also have your own specific items that you really like?
Exactly.
To use? Okay.
Exactly. So if somebody comes to us and says, set it up how you want to set it up, there's going to be certain things that we're going to use over others, but obviously we're open to preference. There's a lot of people that, do already know what they want. They just happen to get a new bike. So we can set them up with, all that stuff. Or they can just go off of our reference, and basically it's not necessarily just what we like, but it's also what works, like the thing about the tank with the Chirbies. It's just it's just the Chirbies tank is actually feels a little slimmer, but if you're on a Husky, it's just even though it feels better, you don't necessarily want to ride with that. But yeah, so we're open to suggestions, but the biggest thing is the Vortex ignitions. I know a lot of people like the JD tuner. The JD tuner is a lot cheaper. I think it's only a few $100 versus the Vortex is like I think it's $700. But yeah, so I mean, there's obviously everybody has their personal preference as far as tires. I have gone back and forth between the Maxxis, the Moto Z, and the Golden tires. Depending on where we are riding, I like all three, for different reasons. But we can get any of them. So if you have a personal preference, we can get it. And if you leave it up to us, I mean, we had probably 20 bikes at LEB2V that pretty much just left it up to us as far as what tires they were going to run. Right. Most of them got the Golden tires, the 216 Fatty with the GT333. They all freaking loved it. Talked to every single one of them at the finish. They all loved it. Awesome. So it really comes down to where you're riding. We always, if somebody comes to us and asks us, hey, what tires you should run? Well, my first response is, well, where are you riding? What are you doing with the bike? What's your goal with it? And that kind of can help us lead them in the right direction. Right.
So, and not let alone tires, you guys are totally cool and avid installing the Nitro Moose or any bibs, tubeless. Yep. You're not one of those shops that don't want to touch those kinds of things. You're totally cool with it.
I'm totally cool with it. We probably go through 5 gallons of lube every 2 weeks. It's crazy. We install them all the time with the Nitro Mooses. So
let's hope that you're installing that many and not going through all that lube without it. Without bibs and these tires. So yeah. So anyways, talk to me. What's on the agenda for races that you're going to be in events and stuff that you're going to be, not even just off-road races, but what dual sport events do you have your eye on for 2019?
Well, 2019, we're really excited because I think we're going to really try. There's the handful of events, Big Bear, Bishop, LEB2V. There's a couple other ones I want to hit, but honestly, we're trying to really not only get to a couple big adventure rides and rallies, but we also are actually trying to put together a few of our own rides. We're actually, possibly looking at putting a ride together in Washington in late April, to where we're going to basically, if you want to go, you're going to basically use us and we're going to take your bike and, we're going to get the hotel and we're all just going to have a badass time. And, I hope you come, but yeah, so
you might not have to talk me into that one.
Right. Right. Tiny Heine's got it all planned out already. Tiny Heine's from Washington. So he mapped out all the trails already. He mapped out where we're going to stay. His parents even want to take us all in for, a night. So if we end up doing it, which I think we're going to, it's going to be pretty awesome event. But besides that stuff, definitely hit more and more dual sport events, just because they're honestly just a blast. I come from, moto and off-road, and I'll tell you that showing up to a dual sport event is so much more relaxing. I love the moto scene, and, there's going to be quite a few moto races that we hit next year, that we kind of always do every year, but it's the dual sport thing is just so different. It's a lot less stress. Everybody's just, stoked to be there, stoked to ride, stoked to see each other's bikes. What do you have? What do I have? So I'm really excited for all the dual sport stuff we're doing next year. We're really going to hit it hard.
And you'll have an official announcement, prior to whatever events coming up that you'll be attending with doing services. So that if anyone wants to utilize you for any type of bike work, they can pre-plan whether if they're going to have the work done there for whatever it is, or if you need it to, because you're also, let's get into the whole, you offer pickup and delivery. So what's this guy say? Stop talking.
freaking Terry, dude.
Yeah.
Terry's one of the biggest reasons we didn't do the ride a couple months ago.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, he couldn't make it happen.
Yeah, Terry. Let's just stop there, buddy. But anyways, so you offer pickup and delivery, which is cool. And so let's say, for example, the greatest thing about it is that if I'm going to go to Bishop, let's just throw that out there, and I'm going to go ride my bike, beat the hell out of it, and then I just don't want to be hands-on, I can have you take it home, take it to your shop, you'll
Mm-hmm.
do all the prep and do make sure everything's good on it, service and all that stuff. And then either I can meet you somewhere or you can drop it. I'm a little bit further, so you usually meet me,
Right.
depending on what's going on. But that's offered. That's not just a me thing. That's been offered to everyone.
Everybody.
Anyone that wants to be a customer.
Yep. So basically the way it works is all you got to do is get a hold of us. Well, what I always tell people, it's funny. We just picked up a bike at LAB2V. One of the questions the guy had asked me before he committed to having us take the bike back was, I live in San Francisco. Is that going to be an issue? And I said, no, like we do whatever we have to do to make it happen. And that's kind of our motto with everything. Whatever your deadline is, whatever your time frame is, we do our best to make it happen. As far as the pickup and drop off goes, we'll pretty much, go as far as somebody wants. We go to Corona probably 2-3 times a month. We go to Bakersfield once or twice a month. We're in Santa Clarita almost on a weekly basis. And anything local, we do pretty much on the same day pickup. So if you are interested in having your bike worked on by us, then all you got to do is get a hold of us. And like I said, we'll make it happen.
Okay. Well, right on. Well, you know what? I really appreciate you coming on board with us and providing some tech tip, helpful hints on product and just how to service your bike or take care of it. I look forward to seeing what we have in the pipeline for the next weeks to come. If anyone has a certain question, bike related to servicing or prep or any of that stuff or parts, shoot me a DM. Tell me what it is that you're looking to find out, and then I'll put it in the pipeline if it's something that's really a necessity that we should cover. So by all means, it's not really what we come up with. It's what we see online.
We want to hear.
Or someone's going to.
We want to hear the
ask
questions.
us. Yeah. So it's for you guys.
Yeah, we
so
want to hear the
not
questions.
what we come up with.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds
Well,
good.
thanks for taking the time today. Is there anything else that you wanted to finish up with?
Not really. Basically going back to the calendar thing, we're actually almost finished up with our 2019 calendar. So once we are finished with it, we are going to do an official post, Facebook, Instagram, our website, all that stuff. We're actually going to be doing something cool this year with our calendar to where, most people have their calendars on their phone. We're going to basically make it to where if you want our calendar, we're going to make it to where we can share it with you and you can have it right on your phone at all times, in your calendar app. So 2019 is going to be exciting. If you guys have any questions at all for us, you can call and talk to me, Riley, or Rachel, our office girl, and we'll be happy to help.
Sweet. All right, man. Why don't you tell us your phone number?
805-842-1313. Super simple to remember.
Your website is?
madjack-racing.com. And then you can obviously find us on Facebook and Instagram, Madjack Racing.
On all the playbacks, YouTube and Facebook and all that stuff, I'll put all the links down below so you guys can directly link to Madjack. But again, hit them up on their social media. Say hi to them. They got some cool pictures of stuff that they're doing throughout the week on these dirt bikes. And let alone when they go riding and stuff like that, they also post some cool pictures and everything. So they're active on the riding side and let alone taking care of bikes on a weekly basis. So give them a follow. And if you need any service, hit them up and let them know that you saw, Jack and I talking on this live stream. Be great to know who's out there watching. So next week, we're going to have to come up with what the tech tip's going to be next week. And we're not going to do one on how to check the tire pressure on nitro boosters. That we're not doing that. We got to do something good.
Yeah. Cool. All right. All right, man.
Okay.
Well, cool.
Next week we'll come up with something good.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
All right. See you, buddy.
See you guys.